It is back to school time, and with back to school comes supplies, schedules, clothes, and figuring out how to get everyone out the door on time. But those things are not always what determines whether a child feels ready for school. A student can have a brand new backpack, but still feel anxious, disorganized, uncertain, and afraid. Today, I'm sharing 7 things that can help your child begin the school year feeling calmer, more capable, and more confident. None of them require the perfect routine or hours of preparation. In fact, the most important part of this framework may be the things that you are not going to do. I want to welcome you here to Student Success Collective. My name is Kylie Larson. I am a veteran educator of more than 20 years. I am a reading specialist, an academic tutor, and student success coach. I created the 7 C's to help parents think beyond the supplies and the morning routine. Consistency, capability, communication, connection, calm, courage, and confidence. This is not another 7-step checklist you have to complete before school starts. You are just going to listen in for the 1 or 2 C's that your child needs most right now. And I want you to make sure that you download the free guide that is included in the description below. It includes practical ideas, conversation starters, weekly challenges, and a focus prompt. And again, you're not trying to do it all. It just gives you options so that you can pick out what works best for the learner in your life. All right, let's get started. C number 1 is consistency. And the main idea here is keep it simple and keep it steady. We are not creating a color-coded schedule for every minute of the day. We are establishing a few predictable steps that our child can count on. Why does this matter? Because routines reduce the number of decisions that students and parents have to make. Predictability saves us energy. And when we've handled all the basic logistics, we have more attention for connection, learning, or fun. A reliable routine can reduce morning and after school stress. Here are a few practical, easy examples. Create a home base for your backpacks, shoes, chargers, and papers. Make sure you pack the backpack and the lunch boxes the night before. Have one time during the day that you always check the planner, school portal, or email. Instead of asking, "Are you ready for school?" let's ask questions like, what part of the day feels hardest for you to stay organized or focused? What is one thing that we could do in the mornings to make things easier for you? Choose one of these and practice it. Do not add 4 more routines on the second day. Let the first one that you choose become familiar, then add on from there. But routines only work when children also know how to handle what the school day requires. And that brings us to the 2nd C, capability. The main idea here, practice makes prepared, not perfect. Capability is that everyday know-how that students need in order to manage the school routines, systems, and expectations with independence. Why does this matter? Children sometimes appear anxious, but the real issue is they just haven't practiced what is expected. A few minutes of low pressure rehearsal can make a new task feel easier. Let's think beyond academics here. Sure, we need to make sure that we practice our math facts and that we read 20 minutes a day. But let's learn to practice things like following a schedule, locating important places on a map, opening a locker, logging into your school technology, making sure you can keep track of your assignments. Listen, if you're a kindergartner, you want to practice opening that milk carton. If you are going into the fifth grade and maybe you're changing classes for the first time, make sure you walk through that class change several times whenever you go to open house or orientation. If you are a middle schooler, that's where the locker combination might come in handy. And if it's your first year in high school, you might want to make sure that you run through your entire schedule multiple times, mark a map of where you're going, and make sure that you know what everything on your schedule stands for. So I think you should choose the thing that your student feels the most nervous about, or maybe they need the most practice with, and work on that. A child can know exactly what to do and still struggle if they do not know what to say. And that, of course, brings us to C number 3, communication. The main idea here: ask early and ask often. Communication does not mean we're trying to give or have all the answers. It means we know how to ask a useful question, speak respectfully, and keep trying even when something is unclear and we are confused. Why does this matter? Because students that communicate early and often, they get their confusion addressed sooner. Small problems are less likely to grow, relationships with their teachers improve, and students feel more in control. Telling a child to ask for help is not enough. They need to rehearse the actual words. I want you to practice scripts with your child. For example, I'm not sure what to do next. Can you explain it again? Excuse me, could you help me find my classroom? I'm sorry, I missed part of the directions. Could you repeat them? I tried this part on my own, but now I'm stuck. Could we please talk about what I need to do to make up for my absence? Practice one or two each day. Use the same sentence several times until it feels natural for your child. And again, choose something that they are the most anxious about or that they have the least experience with. Speaking up becomes much easier when a child already knows there is someone at school who will listen. And that brings us to C number 4, connection. What's the main idea here? Everyone needs someone. Children don't need dozens of friends to have a successful school year. They need to feel that they belong and that there is at least one person they can turn to. Why does this matter? When students feel connected, they're more likely to participate, try unfamiliar things, enjoy their day at school, and be able to recover when something goes wrong. I want you to think beyond making friends, though. Connection can include a caring teacher, counselor, coach, one club they might be a part of, or another trusted adult at school. So encourage your child to learn all their teachers' names, identify one trusted adult to connect with, and it's always a good idea to reconnect with a friend or two before school begins. Join an activity, something that they're interested in. And if they're not sure or they don't have someone familiar close by, encourage them to sit near someone who seems welcoming, someone with a smile. Talk to them about body language and facial expressions. When you're talking with your child, ask questions like, who seemed kind today? Who did you enjoy talking with? Who is the adult at school you think you could go to for help? And how can you help someone else feel included? Try to make one new connection each week. Connection gives children the support that they need. But even supported children will face forgotten assignments, awkward moments, difficult classes, difficult teachers, and disappointing grades. So they also need a plan. And of course, here we are at C number 5, and that is calm. What's the main idea? Calm is not about avoiding challenges or avoiding conflict. Calm is about knowing your next step. Every student will encounter difficult moments. We're not trying to prevent every uncomfortable situation. That's a part of life, and students need to learn to deal with it. The goal is to help our children believe that they can respond when one happens. Why does this matter? A simple plan reduces panic. Talk through possible situations in advance, and this helps your child move from, oh no, what am I going to do, to, I know my first step here. We want to use what if practice. Ask, what do you do if you cannot find your classroom? What if you forget your homework or you don't understand the assignment? What if you don't know anyone during your lunchtime? What if you receive a disappointing grade? What do you do if you have a disagreement with a friend? And what do you do if you feel nervous before a test? Again, do not try to handle all of these at once, but use these prompts and practices as they become necessary and helpful for your learner. Follow each prompt by asking, what could we do first? Don't worry may feel reassuring for a moment, but it does not always give a child that usable response they need. So, pair your reassurance with a plan. Say something like, I understand why that worries you. That would worry me too. Let's decide what you could do next. Choose one what if, maybe each day or week, and always practice the first step. Knowing the first step creates calm. Taking the step requires the next C. C number 6, courage. The main idea here, brave is different for every child, and courage is not limited to dramatic moments. For many students, courage looks ordinary from the outside, but it feels extraordinary to them. Courage in school might look like being able to raise your hand, walking into a new classroom and greeting the adult there, sitting with someone new, asking a question, admitting a mistake, or trying again after getting something wrong. And why does this matter? Small acts of courage build resilience. They create evidence that a child can handle difficulty, and they make the next brave action more possible. What are some things you can discuss? Ask your child, what felt tricky today? What is one brave thing that you could try tomorrow? How can I support you with this without completely taking over? Don't overlook a step simply because it seems small to you. Remember, for children, small steps might require real big courage. Choose one small step each day. Every time a child takes one of those tiny steps, something in them begins to grow. It's not overnight, it's gradual progress, but that something is our last C. Number 7, confidence. Confidence is built, not born. Confidence is not something a child either has or does not have. Confidence is developed through practice, small wins, mistakes, honest effort, and trying again. And why does this matter? When children begin to trust that they can grow, they are more willing to take healthy risk, persist when something is difficult, and recover after a setback. I want you to think beyond just praise. You're smart seems positive, but it does not show a child what they did that led to that progress or achievement. Use more specific feedback with the student in your life. You stuck with that even when it was hard. Look how much you've improved. I think that strategy that you used worked really well. I'm so impressed you solved that part all by yourself for the first time. You kept trying after you made a mistake. Good job. And I noticed the effort that you put into that. Some other ways that you can start conversations about confidence. Tell me, what is something you handled well today? What was a challenge today? And what did you learn? What are you proud of? What feels easier now than it did a couple of months ago? At the end of the day, everyone can share maybe a challenge, something they learned, one thing they're proud of. This keeps the emphasis on progress rather than perfection. We do not simply give children confidence through our praise. We help them build their confidence by noticing the steps, strategies, effort, and growth that created those small wins, or maybe even those big wins. So let's quickly bring these 7 C's together. Consistency. You can create reliable routines that help you have less stress. Not a million, not a dozen, 1 or 2 routines at the time of day that you are experiencing the most friction with your child. Capability. Practice a skill before it is needed. Communication. Rehearse the words you will use in certain situations. Connection. Identify an adult that is safe and supportive and make sure you connect with at least one friend before school starts. Calm. Think about the things that you might be nervous about as the learner, and then decide what that first step might be. Courage. Notice and celebrate small, brave actions. Confidence. Recognize progress and growth. Parents do not need to tackle all 7 of these C's today, this weekend, this week, or before school starts. I don't want you to even think that you need to do that. Instead, I want you to ask yourself, which C already feels strong for my child? Which C seems to be missing? Which one would make the greatest difference right now? And I want you to choose one. Start small. Give it enough time to become useful, and then you can move on to other areas. And if you're thinking, this sounds helpful, but I need the questions and examples in front of me, all that stuff that you were just talking about, I need to have it so I can look at it again. I made something just for you. I created a free 7 C's back to school parent guide that walks you through each of these areas. It includes practical ideas, conversation starters, and a small weekly challenge for every C. So you don't have to remember everything we covered today. You can download your free copy using the link in the description below. When you receive it, just skim over the 7 sections, try to ask yourself those guiding questions, circle the 1 C that you're going to focus on, and just choose one small action. Because a confident start to the school year is not created by doing everything perfectly, and it's not just limited to day 1. It's built through small, steady steps, day by day, that help children feel prepared, supported, and increasingly able to handle what comes next on their own. I want to thank you for watching. If you'll subscribe to this channel, every week I'm bringing more practical support with learning, confidence, organization, and all sorts of things related to school success. And don't forget, be sure to download your free 7 C's guide in the description below. Bye, everyone.